Hey class, in the previous lesson we started learning about unit rates. Unit rates are a great way to compare ratios. In this example, we see exactly why we might want to use a unit rate to make a comparison. So this question involves a pet store that has 3 fish tanks. Each has a different amount of water and a different amount of fish. And we are asked to order the tanks by volume per fish from least to greatest. So it looks like we're going to have to find 3 unit rates for this question. Really the only trick here is what gets divided by what. And we actually get that information right here where it says volume per fish. So volume per fish, I could also write that out this way, volume per fish, not per, volume per fish. And so this basically tells us what we need to divide. So we need to take our volume and we need to divide it by the amount of fish. So we do that for each of the 3, and once we've done that, we can rank them pretty easily. So let's look at tank A. Tank A has 40 liters, and it's got 5 fish. So take out my calculator. If I do 40 divided by 5, I'm going to get 8 liters per fish. And I'm just going to write it out like this, liters per fish, just so we remember what we were talking about. For tank B, exact same sort of calculation. I'm taking my volume, so in this case it was 100 liters, going to divide it by the amount of fish, that's 12. And if I take out my calculator for this one, I get that that's about 8.3 liters per fish. The last one is tank C. For tank C, we've got 180 liters and we've got 23 fish. I'm going to need a calculator for this one too, and that is 7.8 liters per fish. So now that we have a unit rate, it's pretty easy to compare these. It was pretty tricky before, especially when we've got one with such a big tank like tank C and a pretty small tank like tank A. The unit rate gives us the volume per fish, so it's fair to compare those just using the unit rates. And it says from least to greatest, so in this case the least would be C, the next greatest would be A, and then the next greatest would be B. And so that would be our answer from least to greatest. This question involves salary, and you can see it also has this word per in it. So in this question, Jacob works part-time at No Frills. In 5 hours, he earns $82.50. How much does Jacob earn per hour? Even though this question doesn't tell us that we are looking for the unit rate, because it's got the word per there, we know that they are talking about unit rate. So how much does Jacob earn per hour? So again, take a look at what's on either side of the word per, and that will tell you what to divide. Earning, we're talking about money. Per hour, we're talking about the number of hours, time. So it's going to be dollars divided by time. So for this question, he earns $82.50 in 5 hours. So I'm going to divide those, and I get that he is earning $16.50 per hour. With money, we write the dollar sign out here, so it's not going to say dollars per hour, but I wrote $16.50 per hour. The next question here, part B, how much would Jacob earn if he worked for 11 hours? That's a pretty simple question, just because we are talking about, we know what he earns per hour, and he's working for 11 hours, so obviously we're going to be multiplying that. I also want to see how we could write this out as a proportion like we did earlier this year. So he earns $16.50 in 1 hour. We are trying to figure out how much he earns in 11 hours. So this should hopefully look familiar as to the proportions we were looking at earlier this semester. On this side, or on the top of these fractions, we both have money, so $16.50. On this side, X is going to be how much money he earns in 11 hours. And on the bottom, we've got time. or number of hours. So 1 hour on that side, 11 hours on that side. The strategy we used when we were solving proportions before is to look at what I would need to multiply by to get from one to the other. And to get from 1 to 11, that's pretty obvious. We are just multiplying by 11. So to figure out how much he earns in 11 hours, I'm just going to take that $16.50 and also multiply it by 11. And that should give me $181.50. And so that's how much you would earn in 11 hours. Now, you probably would have been able to solve that question without setting up a proportion. The next one may be a little trickier. Maybe you would want to use a proportion for something like this. So how long would Jacob have to work to save up $330 for the new AirPods? I'm going to start out the exact same way. I'm going to write out that unit rate as a ratio. So he earns $16.50 in 1 hour. On the other side, I know he's trying to save up $330. The thing I don't know is how many hours he's going to have to work. So what I don't know is down here, and I know that he is trying to save up $330. So in this case as well, we are trying to find what we would have to multiply $16.50 by to get $330. Now that's not quite obvious, so we might need to divide. So that is $330 divided by $16.50, and that is times 20. So I'll just write out here on the side what I did. I took my $330 and I divided it by $16.50, and that gave me 20. So that tells me that the second proportion, both the numerator and the denominator have to be 20 times bigger. So to find x, all I got to do is take 1 and multiply it by 20, and I'm going to get x. And so 1 times 20, obviously that's just 20. So here our x is 20, which was the amount of hours that he would have to work to save up $330. And so hopefully you can see that unit rates can also be helpful in plenty of calculations like these. And that's all for today.